Yo, what is going on, guys? It is FoxyDude back here with a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be covering the brand new Star Wars Battlefront 2 patch notes for 1.2. As you guys know, there has been a massive update which has rolled out, releasing the big and highly anticipated patch 1.2, which is trying to basically cure some of the big problems in Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, if you enjoy it, feel free to drop a like on the video. If you are new around here as well, feel free to subscribe if you do enjoy the content you do see here on the channel. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading the forum for you guys here over at EA. What I'll be doing is I'll leave a link to it down in the description below, so if you'd like to go and see this forum, feel free to go and check it out. But what we start off with then, this comes from Sledgehammer, and it's a very long forum, so sit back and relax as we go through it all. He says, "Hi everyone, we're excited to bring you the next patch from Star Wars Battlefront 2. In this update we've added a mix of requested features and fixes, as well as some brand new items. First of all, we've added some additional locations to custom arcades. These maps now include Kashyyyk, Hoth, Endor, Crate, Jakku, and also Death Star 2. So now there you go. For anyone that is an arcade player, you can now go ahead and play a lot of brand new maps to basically entice your experience on that game mode. We're also launching a new game mode called Jetpack Cargo. This is a fast-paced mode that sees players jumping around in jetpacks wielding rocket launchers for the entire round. This mode will only be available for a limited time, so check the availability and make sure to jump in and give it a try." So from this one, what we can see is some very fast-paced gameplay, which I'm really excited about, and I'll be making sure to cover it here on the channel as we go forward. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But let's move on into the next set of notes. Also, for a limited time, we've added 3 new hero appearances to the game. Specifically, the Hoth appearances for Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Han Solo. You can preview them in their respective character customization screens under appearances. They will be unlockable through a series of in-game challenges that will be available over time. Stay tuned to our channels for more information. Now, this is one that none of us actually expected to come through, but all of a sudden, it is quite clear that EA and DICE are now working on customization and appearances in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now we have the ability to try and pull on these Hoth experiences, Hoth Luke Skywalker, Hoth Leia, and Hoth Han Solo. Now it's going to be interesting to see what challenges they are. I've actually got Star Wars Battlefront 2 loaded on my game right now, so if I go over to the challenges, I may be able to see something here. Unfortunately, there isn't actually any challenges yet that tell us what to do for Luke Skywalker. What I'll do is I'll just go on to appearances and we'll see if we've got anything. Nope, it literally just says it will be available through time challenges, so we'll have to stay tuned and wait for those to come through. Also then, this patch brings a lot of balance tweaks and bugs fixes to heroes, classes, locations, and game modes. A significant tweak has also been made to dodging. Also, for fans of arcade, we've made substantial improvements to the AI to make the experience more engaging. Lastly, all players will now receive 2 default emotes for their troopers instead of having to unlock some before you join in the fun. So get out there and start expressing yourselves in game. Read about all the changes below, and as always, we appreciate all the feedback. The Star Wars Battlefront 2 team. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go through every single one of these, and let's get into it. First of all, then we're going to be looking at Boba Fett. Now, they've stated here that we've made some substantial change to the way Boba Fett's jetpack feels when flying. We think you're going to love the increased maneuverability. Furthermore, we've increased the efficiency at distance with the EE3. Previously, it could be frustrating to try and shoot with the EE3's high dispersion, especially while flying. As a result, we've improved the EE3 in a few areas, and we hope this will combine with the jetpack changes to make Boba Fett feel even more fun to use on the battlefront. So let's have a look at what they've done then. The jetpack has now been, the controllability of the jetpack has been improved. Something I was kind of looking for Boba Fett. His jetpack was really messy and just didn't quite work well, so I'm happy that they've made changes to that. But the biggest change has come from the EE3, which is obviously his default blaster, which quite frankly was probably the worst blaster in the game until they've made some changes to it. The EE3 now has a reduced minimum dispersion angle from 0.6 to 0.4 and has a reduced maximum dispersion angle from 1.2 to 0.8. So they've made some changes to the dispersion angle, and this is probably going to help, especially while flying, as it was very hard to get shots off while flying. Also, the EE3 has an increased end damage from 20 up to 25, and also has an increased damage drop-off start distance from 15 meters up to 20 meters. So you're going to be hitting those targets with maximum damage for a longer period of time, and also a longer range. Lots of changes to Boba Fett's E3, but critically, they've done no work to the concussion missile, and also have made no changes to Boba Fett's rockets, which is something that people were complaining about, so I'm a bit iffy about this one. We'll have to see if the E3 kind of counters for the rockets being still really poor, but yeah, Boba Fett has had some changes. Moving on then to Iden Versio. We've heard your feedback that Iden's stun droid was very difficult to predict. We've made it much snappier and feel this should be significant improvement to Iden, even though the droid's damage has been slightly reduced. Fixed an issue where Iden's droid stun didn't give damage on first attack. Droid stun reduced the time between the ability activation and shock, and also reduced the damage from 40 to 50. So they've basically done two ways with the droids. They've sort of buffed it and they've also nerfed it in a way. They've buffed it because it makes it a lot better to now actually stun your enemy targets, and it's also much snappier, and also fixes the issue where it didn't even take damage to opponents on the first attack. However, they have reduced the damage of it. Moving on then, we're going to be going on to Bossk, and Bossk is pretty much, in fact, the next two characters on this list are Bossk and Rey. These two are pretty much the most well-balanced characters in Star Wars Battlefront 2, so I don't expect many change to them, and there really hasn't been. First of all, we're going to look at Bossk's Ralby V10 had somewhat of an awkwardly high recoil. We've reduced it a bit while adjusting the animation to make it feel more responsive. We've also reduced the damage output of the explosive traps as we felt it was a bit too high. The multi-trap star card values were incorrect, and the epic star card could be increased the radius of the damage passed while listed on the card. This unintentionally lead Bossk to have very high AoE damage. So what they've done is with the Ralby V10, they've reduced the recoil from 5 to 2.2. So they've actually halved the recoil of Bossk's Ralby V10, which is pretty big. Explosive traps, they've actually reduced the damage from 80 to 76 per trap. So they've reduced the damage on that. And with multi-trap, they fixed the blast damage radius to fit the star card's numbers. Obviously something that was a little bit wrong there. Moving on then to Rey. Now Rey's signature ability, Insight, had an incredible range and could go as far as 75 meters when paired with certain star cards. That one will probably most likely be Farsight. This was a bit too much, and we've decided to reduce it drastically. We'll monitor how this changes and affects Rey's performance. So they've actually not done that with, they've actually changed Insight heavily, but they've also actually done a little bit to Mind Control as well. Mind Control, they've decided to reduce the Mind Control radius from 20 to 18 meters. 2 meters, not really that much, that's kind of fair in my opinion. But it's Insight where they've taken the big change. Reduced Insight radius from 50 down to 30. That's a big change on Rey's Insight and is pretty much a game changer. However, in my opinion, from playing HVV all the time and even playing Galactic Assault, I kind of feel that it's an Insight change that is necessary, but maybe we'll just have to see how it goes. Also, with the Farsight stat cards, they've reduced the bonus by 10%. It's now 10%, 20%, 30%, and the epic variant being 40%. So obviously, like EA have said, they're going to monitor how this changes Rey's performance, and it's going to be interesting as I am predominantly a Rey user in this Star Wars Battlefront 2, so I'm going to be taking a lot of feedback from this certain update and basically seeing if this really is useful. Otherwise, in my opinion, this might be the complete wrong call and they may have to rebuff Rey's Insight. Honestly, I didn't see it as a problem, but maybe people did. Yeah, maybe reducing just the bonus, maybe reducing it from 50 maybe to 40 and then the bonus sense. We'll have to see how it goes on. Moving on then to Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren had two of his abilities on a 25-second timer, effectively making him less efficient and fun to play than other characters. As such, we've reduced the cooldown for pull and freeze. We've also felt that he has needed some damage absorption while being close to his targets, so we gave him that with some while his frenzy is active. So, with his pull, they've reduced the pull recharge time from 25 seconds down to 20 seconds. A big reduction, as obviously it takes a long time to recharge Kylo Ren's abilities, and that's been the big problem. And pretty much his entire buff has been from abilities, which was expected. Next up is going to be his Force Freeze. They've reduced the Force Freeze recharge time from 25 seconds down to 24 seconds. I don't understand why it's just 1 second. If they were going to do that, surely they reduce it to 20 seconds as well, but hey ho. To be honest, you might as well have just left it as it is. I don't see what's the point in reducing it by 1 second. I don't know how it's going to make all that much of a difference. And also what they've done is with Frenzy, Kylo Ren now has 40% damage absorption while Frenzy is active. This is a massive buff for Kylo Ren, so when he gets up and close with his target using Frenzy, which he needs to do, having that damage absorption is actually pretty critical, and I'm quite happy to see this one included. So Kylo Ren overall has had a buff to his abilities, which is what he needed in this game, and I'm happy to see those come through. The next one then is going to be Luke Skywalker, and as EA have stated here, we have heard your wishes to have Luke traverse faster, so we've increased his sprint speed as much as possible without breaking the animation. Related to that update, we've decided to push Luke towards more of a hit and run game style. He'll quickly jump into a skirmish and then bounce out again to regain his health before heading off to the next battle. So interestingly, what they've done here is they've not done any work to Luke Skywalker's abilities or to his lightsaber attack. And this is quite interesting. So what they've done is they've increased Luke's sprint speed by 0.6 meters per second, which is quite an increase and will most likely make him the fastest hero on the light side, very similar to the speed of Darth Maul, I'm probably expecting on this one. They've also increased Luke's health from 700 to 750. This now puts him on the joint highest light-sided hero health in the game, alongside Rey, who also stands at 750. They've also increased the health regeneration rate from 50 to 110. They've also then decreased the regeneration delay from 5 seconds down to 2.7, and they decreased the max regeneration amount from 250 to 200. So some big changes there for Luke Skywalker, but what's worrying about me about Luke Skywalker's changes overall is I don't feel that they've hit the mark with what Luke needed. Luke's abilities were beyond useless in Star Wars Battlefront 2. His rush was a complete waste of time. His force push is useful in some situations, and his repulse you have to get up close and personal with targets with a really long animation with not really much damage. To be honest, all they've done really is make Luke, like they've said, hit and run. It'll be interesting to try this game style out, but for example, if you're playing HVV, it's not going to be that effective. Galactic Assault probably will be though, so it's interesting to check it out. Right then, we're coming on now to the two big changes. We've got Emperor Palpatine and Chewbacca. Now, we know these two have been the most broken heroes in the game for over 2 months now, and finally, they have made changes to them. Let's have a look what they've gone then. Starting off with Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine now requires a line of sight on his target to trigger damage with his Dark Aura and default lightning ability. Both abilities will no longer go through obstacles and walls. While we love the fantasy fulfillment there, the frustration of not knowing what damaging you was too high for us to not to act on. This is actually pretty big. The fact that his damage will now be as long as you get him in an exact line of sight is very critical. This means that the lightning, normally whenever you're firing with the lightning, you can sort of jump around and, you know, sort of shoot just kind of near them, and the lightning would sort of attach to its target. But they've actually made this a very tighter collision check is what they've done here, and that's pretty big. And also, Dark Aura taking no damage to enemies unless you're staring at them is also another big one for me, in my opinion. And that's going to leave Palpatine very vulnerable to attack, especially while using Dark Aura, and kind of makes it a little bit pointless now. But also what they've done to help with this is the lightning. They've actually increased the reach of the ability from 12 to 14 meters to compensate for the tighter collision check. So a minor buff to Palpatine in terms of the reach of his lightning, but he now has to be directly in line of sight to damage enemies with this ability, and also Dark Aura as well. And also he can't shoot through any more walls, so he has to go directly straight in front and fight full on. Next up then is going to be Chewbacca. Now Chewbacca had one of the longest stun duration abilities in the game, and it made him quite powerful. However, we wanted the stun to be a bit more tactical, so we reduced the duration. So what they've done is they've reduced the shock time for the stun grenades down from 1.6 to 1 second. They've reduced the bowcaster's side projectiles explosive damage from 25 down to 21, and they've reduced the Furious bowcaster's side projectiles explosive damage down from 12 to 10. So they've basically now nerfed Chewie quite heavily, so that he isn't quite powerful. Honestly, Chewie wasn't as game-breaking as Palpatine, but Chewie was definitely an extreme pain, and the fact that you could get killed in 3 shots, even with Darth Vader with full max health upgrades on your stat cards, it's very good to see that they've now taken a bit of inspiration, and it means now that when using stun grenade, as they've said, you now need to be more tactical, and that's what we want to see with Chewie. And overall, his bowcaster and Furious bowcaster weren't broken. It was the fact that the stun grenade made those abilities broken. So yeah, I'm happy to see those ones. Now I'm just going to have a look at this next one, and the next one is Yoda. And it looks to me like we might have just found the new broken ability or hero in this game. And I'll go through it with you now. Yoda's lightsaber attacks were very weak compared to all other lightsaber wielders, so we have increased his attack damage significantly to bring him on par with others. Additionally, in an effort to make Yoda feel more true to character, we've made a change to his barrier ability. It will now break immobilizing effects upon activation. This is big. So, the first one, and this is probably the biggest buff that I've seen so far in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 patch, the lightsaber. His lightsaber attack has been increased from 80 to 115. That's a 20, I think that's a 35 damage, but yeah, that's 35 extra damage per attack with the lightsaber for Yoda. That is absolutely huge, and I cannot wait to try out Yoda, because he might actually be worthwhile. Honestly, I stay away from Yoda because he's completely pointless, but now I think they've really buffed up Yoda a lot. Next up, they've changed the barrier, so they've added the functionality to break out of immobilizing effects on activation. This one I'm not really too sure on. Maybe if he's like immobilized by a shot grenade or something like that, maybe he can use that barrier and then break out of it. I'm not really sure. Haven't really tried this out, so I'm going to have to give that one a go. Unleash, what they've done is they've increased the energy holding time from 0.7 to 0.9 seconds, so that's a pretty interesting increase there. They've also increased the angle from 40 to 45 degrees on the Unleash, and the final thing with Unleash, they've increased the first tier damage from 100 to 110, the second tier damage from 125 to 130, the third tier damage from 150 up to 160, and the fourth tier damage from 175 up to 190. That's a big buff on Yoda's Unleash. They've done nothing else to his character. Yoda might just be very, very strong. And in Galactic Assault, I can see Yoda being extremely broken and one that everyone is going to start using. Next up, then, we're going to be looking at Lando Calrissian, and we felt that Lando needed a boost to increase his effectiveness against lightsaber users. The best tool he had against them was a 25-second cooldown. Which is quite weird. To combat this, we have significantly reduced the cooldown of the Disruptor and the Smoke Grenade. So obviously against lightsaber heroes, as they're saying, Lando was pretty much completely useless, and he's hidden. And as they say, the best cooldown, the best tool that he had was the Stun Grenade or the Disruptor, very similar to what Chewie's done. They decided to reduce his ability, so Lando's actually got a buff in this patch. He has a reduced recharge time of the Disruptor from 25 seconds to 19 seconds, and the Smoke Grenade has a reduced recharge time from 15 seconds to 14 seconds. Personally, I feel this is a very good step in the right direction for Lando Calrissian. However, I still feel like his health regeneration and his damage input that he gets is extremely, extremely poor. Like, if someone starts shooting at you, you will lose so much health, and the health regeneration max that you have is pretty atrocious, which is, yeah, something I'm not too happy about. Anyway, Darth Vader. We've had some changes for Vader. We've changed how choke works in order to simplify comprehension for the player, that is Darth Vader, and for their target. In an effort, we've also made Darth Vader more tanky. We've granted him a health bonus when he activates Focus Rage. When Darth Vader activates Focus Rage, he will now receive 200 temporary bonus health when activating the Focus Rage ability. This is actually a big game changer when it comes to HVV. Not only will he take less damage and also take have a higher damage output when attacking enemies, he's now going to have even more health going into those battles. This is going to make Vader really, really strong. And I've actually turned away from Darth Vader. As you guys know from my HVV gameplays, I've stopped using Darth Vader mainly because I just don't want to use him anymore. And I felt like using the likes of Kylo Ren and Darth Maul a lot. Might have to go back to Darth Vader with this one. However, what they have done is they've reduced the maximum health from Darth Vader from 900 down to 800. So that's a 100 health decrease on Darth Vader. So, yeah, some big changes there for Darth Vader, and he might just be a game changer. Moving on then to Captain Phasma. Now, Phasma, we took notice of your feedback regarding the utility of Captain Phasma's staff. We are improving it so that it feels faster and more fluid when used. Now, this is a big one because the staff strikes in general were just a complete waste of time, and they've made some change to it. They first of all increased the animation speed of the ability. I believe it took 3 seconds to complete the full animation. In that time, you had no choice to cancel the ability, and you were stuck there, and you had to be very, very close to actually make the attacks. They've also increased the transition speed between each strike. We're not sure on the timing. They've literally just said increased. They've also increased how quickly Captain Phasma can use her blaster after performing a staff strike. Some big changes there, which is absolutely awesome. And Phasma, hopefully the staff strikes can now become useful in her gameplay. Moving on then, we have got now, that is actually it for the hero changes. So a lot of changes to heroes in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the biggest changes for me is Darth Vader, Palpatine, Chewie, and Yoda. They're probably the biggest ones for me in my opinion. Maybe even Rey with the insight decrease. I'm going to have to go play some games and find out how she performs. But now we're going to have a look at hero and villain bug fixes in general. First of all then, we're going to be looking at lightsaber closers. Lightsaber closers are deactivated while blindfolded. Not really sure what that means. I haven't had any bugs with that before. They fixed an issue where you would be in a stun state forever, which I've had before. The maximum stun duration is now 5 seconds. Boba Fett has fixed an issue that prevented Boba Fett from using his jetpack ability when For the Hunt was activated while his jetpack fuel was depleted. So now you will be able to use For the Hunt even though his jetpack has been completely depleted. Luke Skywalker's Epicenter. The ability will now deal the proper amount of damage when used. I've not really used Luke that much, so I'm kind of not really sure on that one if it really makes a huge difference. Also then, Yoda, Feel the Force, edited the description of the ability to make it clear that all friendlies will receive a health bonus when used, which is obviously nice to see. Yoda, when using Enduring the Force stat card, this ability will now apply to the proper amount of bonus time, which maybe it didn't have before. Another one for Yoda, Master of the Force. This ability will no longer damage players inconsistently and only when released at maximum power. And finally, Finn's Deadeye, the targeting crosshair should properly remove after the ability has been used. I've had this one before where I've attacked someone using Deadeye and all of a sudden nothing happened. Like as soon as my Deadeye had finished, I'd still have the stupid crosshair where that enemy was. However, they've not really made any changes to Finn at all in this update, and I feel like they needed to, as they have nerfed him pretty much to the ground and he's pretty much useless now, and I'm pretty upset about that. Next up, we're going to have a look at classes, special units, and infantry combat. The dodge ability has been proven to be too powerful, which was not our initial intent. Dodging granted far too many benefits like damage reduction, the ability to transition into hit animation, ignoring lightsaber damage, and the inability to be targeted by lightsaber closes. In order to handle this, we've added an unstaggerable window during a set period of time when you dodge. You will still receive the same benefits during that window, but now you'll have a narrow time in which to gain those benefits. Now you'll need time to roll better and predict attacks. While testing these changes, we feel good with the results so far, and we really hope that you do too. This is a change that we will monitor closely. Also, for all classes, they fixed an issue on blaster rifles and the S5 weapons that can be toggled with a high zoom level, though dual zoom, where the scope's glint will always appear when zooming. It now only appears when dual zoom scope is equipped and toggled to its highest magnification level. All troopers will now have received 2 default emotes, which I believe are lightsaber attack and also another one. Again, I've got Star Wars Battlefront 2 open, so I can quickly go and check those now for you guys. It is Lightsaber Fight, which was from Star Wars 2015. If you haven't seen that one, it's basically when, you know, the normal troopers will start fighting around with a fake lightsaber. And then also they have one which is Rock, Paper, Scissors. So you can try that one out as well. What they have done is reduce the time it takes until you can shoot after executing a melee attack. The Assault, the Vanguard Shotgun, they've lowered the start damage per bullet from 14 to 12, so they've nerfed the Vanguard Shotgun. The Assault class with the CR2, they fixed an issue with inconsistent super success triggers compared to other blasters. Heavy Supercharged Sentry, they've reverted the heat per bullet tweak made for patch 1.1 from 0.17 to 0.15. So I believe they've changed that slightly. I think they've done that. I think they buffed that, if I'm correct in saying. Also, the Blurg has had a lower start damage from 37 to 35 and end damage from 20 to 16. So they've done more damage to the Blurg as they believe it is still too powerful. Milestones. Milestones are now claimed automatically upon completion. Furthermore, we have changed how milestones and challenges are sorted. Now all completed items are on the bottom of the career tab, and we've sorted the active items by making them out less until completion. Make an impression. Change criteria from 25 kills to 10 kills. Start heavy training. Change the criteria from 10,000 points to 2,500 score. Bloody hell, that's a huge drop. Stay true. Change criteria from 40 to 20 kills. Starting assault training criteria change from get 5,000 assist score with the scan dart to 50 targets scanned. So they've made some changes there. They've also changed the location and balance changes. On Camino, Phase 1 and 3 in Galactic Assault have been made easier for the attackers. Honestly, this was really hard to actually win as the attacker on Camino, but obviously it's nice to see that they've made some changes on that front. On Tatooine, in Phase 1 of Galactic Assault, we've adjusted the spawn points, added cover, and tweaked the outer bounds area to make the phase easier for the attackers. Again, more work for the attackers. On Hoth, Phase 2 of Galactic Assault, we've adjusted the spawn points to prevent players from being targeted by the AT-AT, which is very nice to see. On Naboo, Phase 2 of Galactic Assault has had balance tweaks. On Endor, Galactic Assault has extended the fallback timer from 30 to 45 seconds before the attacker spawn points are moved forward, which is very nice and very useful. They've now done some location design bug fixes as well. Jakku, they fixed an issue in Galactic Assault where out of bounds warning message would not trigger correctly under certain conditions, e.g. when you used an ATST, you could actually go out of the map and no one would find you. Jakku they've tweaked the combat area on Jakku in Galactic Assault in order to prevent an exploit where players could circle around the map with the ATST. Jakku, they fixed several collision issues. On Endor, they fixed the bug in Galactic Assault that caused the Endor AT-AT orbital strike to break. Also on Endor, they fixed the bug where the strike would where players could spawn outside the combat area. On crates, they've added a delay before the attackers spawned are moved forward in Galactic Assault. On crate, they've also fixed several collision issues. On Takodana, they fixed a bug in Galactic Assault that prevented the First Order ATST from being available in Phase 1. On Hoth, they fixed a bug in Galactic Assault that prevented players from passing through doors when retreating during the last phase. On Kashyyyk, they fixed an issue where players could get stuck between containers. On Kamino, they fixed mobility improvements on platform edges. On Yavin 4, fixed an issue where Boba Fett could reach restricted areas. Fixed an issue where grenades could fall through the floor on Naboo and Kashyyyk. Fixed various collisions issues across all locations. Fixed issues where players could get outside intended play areas on various locations. Fixed an issue where AI units would move through objects in arcades. Fixed an issue where environmental fire damage would not cause high enough damage to players standing on it. Now we're going to look at general improvement and bug fixes, and trust me, this goes on for a long time. So let's get into them. Fix an issue where players will not receive credits for duplicate star cards. Players who encountered this issue previously will retroactively be awarded with the proper amount of credits over time. Increase credit payout for duplicate items. For a common, you will now receive 300 credits from 200. Uncommon, you will from 400 credits up to 600 credits. If you receive a duplicate rare, it will be from 800 credits to 900, and from epic, it will be from 1,200 to 3,600 if it is a duplicate item. I've never received an epic in a crate, so from a loot crate. Yeah, that's a massive one, but we'll see how that pans out in terms of stat cards. They've increased the glow of the blaster bolts to make them look more vibrant, increased the dismemberment probability of the B1 battle droids from 20% to 40%, they've reduced the stretch bloom effect for a clearer image, improved the glow thickness and lightning of lightsabers, the U-wing when firing from the gunner position, the gun muzzle flash and blaster bolt are now shown properly, fix an issue where the camera would enter a bad state when being the target of Darth Vader's choke, end of round, fix an issue where the map would sometimes overlap with the intro video in Starfighter Assaults. I've never had that problem before. Fix an issue where the wrong loading screen would be seen when loading a level. Fix an issue where the menu options would disappear under certain conditions. Fix an issue where the camera would stutter when spawning in with a hero in Custom Arcade. Fix an issue with the ATRT repairability not working. An issue has been fixed where you will not get the hero sacrifice scoring event when defeated by a hero. Fix an issue where Darth Vader would not take any damage from Luke Skywalker's push ability if standing near a wall. Fix an issue where the AAT would take too much damage when colliding with surrounding objects. Fix an issue where turrets and grenades could inflict damage after the round ended. Fix an issue where players will not receive score for grenade kills made after the character has died. Fix an issue where a friendly First Order ATST showed up as an enemy on radar. Fix an issue where players could survive when knocked down from a platform in Heroes vs Villains, which is a very, very big one because I've hated that one so many times. Fix an issue where players could equip class-specific stat cards to other classes. Tweak the colorblind settings to make squad members easier to distinguish on the minimap. Fix an issue where the Brawler Boost didn't refresh some abilities cards. Fix an issue where players could force respawn during Heroes vs Villains intro sequence and respawn in a new location. Reduce the amount of battle points you receive when attacking the objective on crate with the ski speeder. Fix an issue where the character would disappear on the client after combat rolls. Fix an issue where in the campaign where the weapon HUD wouldn't indicate when aiming at an enemy. Fix an issue where AI troopers in arcade will consistently melee attack each other, which is funny. Fix an issue where assault troopers in arcade would attempt to use Scandard ability as a regular weapon. Various bug fixes in arcades. Several performance and instability improvements. Fix several localization issues. Various UI and bug fixes. Now we finally move on to the final bit here, which is known issues. Yoda does not break out several immobilizing abilities when using presence. Darth Vader's punishing grip star card effect is not applied when choke is used. Finn's targeting marker from Deadeye will sometimes persist after the ability effect is ended. Emperor Palpatine's first basic and secondary attack deal no damage, which is a known issue apparently. I've not seen that one. Yoda's Feel the Force stat card description is incorrect. Yoda's Master of the Force stat card does not work as intended. Ray's Mind Trick ability can affect players further than intended. Ray's Farsight stat card is increasing insight ability range more than specified on the stat card. The EL-16 HFE scope glint does not appear with dual zoom equipped and is toggled to the highest magnification. If you open a crate that grants a duplicate item and it shows the old value for credits rewarded, you will need to restart your game client. You did in fact get the new reward amount, but the client will show the old values in the UI until you restart your game. Thanks, Sledgehammer70. So there it is, guys. Really, really long video. That's nearly half an hour of me reading those patch notes. But guys, they are some of the biggest patch notes we have seen so far in Star Wars Battlefront 2. These are massive, and there have been some huge changes. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section down below. If you haven't enjoyed this video, feel free to drop it a like, and if you are new around here as well, feel free to subscribe to this channel as well. And I will see you guys next time, where I'll probably be doing some Star Wars Battlefront 2 gameplay very, very soon, trying out all these new characters. Take care all, guys. Peace.